Cenciaja Robert Browning less than I greater than ogni centio vu ol'entrare in peccato. Italian proverb. Mr. Buxton Foreman received the following self-explanatory letter from Browning, 19 Warwick Crescent, W. July 27, 76. Dear Mr. Buxton Foreman, there can be no objection to such a simple statement as you have inserted, if it seems worth inserting. Fact, it is. Next, ia is generally an accumulative yet depreciative termination. Cenciaja a bundle of rags a trifle. The proverb means every poor creature will be pressing into the company of his betters, and I used it to deprecate the notion that I intended anything of the kind. Is it any contribution to all connected with Shelley, if I mention that my book, The Ring in the Book, rather the old square yellow book from which the details were taken, has a reference to the reason given by Farinacci, the advocate of the Cenci, of his failure in the defense of Beatrice? Fais punit am Beatricem, he declares, poem ultimi supplici, non quia ex intervallo occidii mandavat insidiantum suo honori, sed quia eius exceptionem non probavi tibi. Prout, et idem firmiter spuribatur disor Beatrice perposit am excusationem probassit, quod non probavit. That is, she expected to avow the main outrage, and did not, in conformity with her words, that which I ought to confess, that will I confess. That to which I ought to assent, to that I assent. And that which I ought to deny, that will I deny. Here is another Cenciaja. Yours very sincerely, Robert Browning less than / I greater than may I print, Shelley. How it came to pass that when your Beatrice seemed by lapse of many a long month since her sentence fell assured of pardon for the parricide by intercession of staunch friends, or, say, by certain pricks of conscience in the Pope Coniferate Francesco Cenciaja's guilt, suddenly all things changed and Clement grew stern, as you state, not to be moved nor bend, but said these 3 words coldly: she must die. Subjoining pardon? Paolo Santa Croce murdered his mother also yestereve, and he has fled, she shall not flee at least. So, to the letter, sentence was fulfilled? Shelley, may I condense verbosity that lies before me, into some few words of English, and illustrate your superb achievement by a rescued anecdote, no great things, only new and true beside? As if some mere familiar of a house should venture to accost the group at gaze before its Titian, famed the wide world through, and supplement such pictured masterpiece by whisper, searching in the archives here, I found the reason of the lady's fate, and how by accident it came to pass she wears the halo and displays the poem, who, happily, else had never suffered nor graced our gallery, by consequence. Who loved the work would like the little news, who lauds your poem lends an ear to me relating how the penalty was paid by one Marchese dell'Oriolo, called Onofrio Santa Croce otherwise, for his complicity in matricide with Paolo his own brother, he whose crime and flight induced those 3 words she must die. Thus I enroll you then the manuscript. God's justice of the multiplicity of such communications extends still, recording, each, injustice done by God in person of his vicar upon earth, scarce one but leads off to the self-same tune. God's justice, tardy though it prove perchance, rests never on the track until it reach delinquency. In proof I cite the case of Paolo Santa Croce. Many times the youngster, having been importunate that Marchesa Costanza, who remained his widowed mother, should supplant the heir her elder son, and substitute himself in sole possession of her faculty, and meeting just as often with rebuff, blinded by so exorbitant a lust of gold, the youngster straightway tasked his wits, casting about to kill the lady thus. He first, to cover his iniquity, writes to Onofrio Santa Croce, then authoritative lord, acquainting him their mother was contamination wrought like hellfire in the beauty of their house by dissoluteness and abandonment of soul and body to impure delight. Moreover, since she suffered from disease, those symptoms which her death made manifest hydroptic, he affirmed were fruits of sin about to bring confusion and disgrace upon the ancient lineage and high fame o' the family, when published. Duty-bound. He asked his brother what a son should do? Which when Marchese dell'Oriolo heard by letter, being absent at his land Oriolo, he made answer, this, no more, it must behoove a son, things haply so, to act as honor prompts a cavalier and son, perform his duty to all three, mother and brothers. Here advice broke off. By which advice informed and fortified as he professed himself since bound by birth to bear God's voice and primogeniture Paolo, who kept his mother company in her domain Subiaco, straightway dared his whole enormity of enterprise, and, falling on her, stabbed the lady dead, whose death demonstrated her innocence, and happened, by the way, since Jesus Christ died to save man, just 1600 years. Costanza was of aspect beautiful exceedingly, and seemed, although in age 60 about, to far surpass her peers the coetaneous dames, in youth and grace. Done the misdeed, its author takes to flight, foiling thereby the justice of the world, not God as however, God, be sure, knows well the way to clutch a culprit. Witness here. The present sinner, when he least expects, snug-cornered somewhere at the basilicate, stumbles upon his death by violence. A man of blood assaults a man of blood and slays him somehow. This was afterward enough, he promptly met with his deserts, and, ending thus, permits we end with him, and push forthwith to this important point. His matricide fell out, of all the days, precisely when the law procedure closed respecting Count Francesco Cenciaja's death chargeable on his daughter, sons and wife. Thus patricide was matched with matricide, a poet not inelegantly rhymed, nay, fratricide those princes massimi, which so disturbed the spirit of the Pope that all the likelihood Rome entertained of Beatrice's pardon vanished straight, and she endured the piteous death. Now see the sequel. What effect commandment had for strict inquiry into this last case, when Cardinal Aldobrandini, great his efficacy nephew to the Pope, was bidden crush a, though his very hand got soil the act crimes spawning everywhere. Because, when all endeavor had been used to catch the aforesaid Paolo, all in vain make perquisition, quoth our eminence, throughout his now deserted domicile. Ransack the palace, roof and floor, to find if haply any scrap of writing, hid in nook or corner, may convict who knows? Brother Onofrio of intelligence with brother Paolo, as in brotherhood is but too likely, crime spawns everywhere. And, every cranny searched accordingly, there comes to light O lynx-eyed Cardinal Onofrio s unconsidered writing scrap. The letter in reply to Paolo's prayer, the word of counsel that things proving so, Paolo should act the proper knightly part, and do as was incumbent on a son, a brother and a man of birth, be sure. Whereat immediately the officers proceeded to arrest Onofrio, found at football, child's play, unaware of harm, safe with his friends, the Orsini, at their seat Monte Giordano. As he left the house he came upon the watch and wait for him set by the barrigel, was caught and caged. News of which capture being, that same hour, conveyed to Rome, forthwith our eminence commands Taverna, governor and judge, to have the process in especial care, be, first to last, not only president in person, but inquisitor as well, not trusted by work to a substitute, bids him not, squeamish, keep the bench, but scrub the floor of justice, so to speak, go try his best in prison with the criminal, promising, as reward for by work done fairly on all fours, that, success obtained in crime avowed, or such connivancy with crime as should procure a decent death himself will humbly beg, which means, procure the hat and purple from his relative the Pope, and so repay a diligence which, meritorious in the Cenci case, mounts plainly here to purple and the hat. Whereupon did my lord the governor so masterfully exercise the task enjoined him, that he, day by day, and week by week, and month by month, from first to last toiled for the prize, now, punctual at his place, played judge, and now, assiduous at his post, inquisitor pressed cushion and scoured plank, early and late. Noon's fervor and night's chill, not moved to mornwood, purpling, make amends. So that observers laughed as, many a day, he left home, in July when day is flame, posted to Tardine in a prison, plunged into a vault where day and night is ice, there passed his 8 hours on a stretch, content, examining Onofrio, all the stress of all examination steadily converging into one pinpoint. He pushed tentative now of head and now of heart. As when the nuthatch taps and tries the nut this side and that side till the kernel sound, so did he press the sole and single point. What was the very meaning of the phrase "Deus beseems an honored cavalier"? Which one persistent question torture, plied day by day, week by week, and month by month, morn, noon and night, fatigued away a mind grown imbecile by darkness, solitude, and one vivacious memory gnawing there as when a corpse is coffined with a snake, fatigued Onofrio into what might seem admission that perchance his judgment groped so blindly, feeling for an issue aught with semblance of an issue from the toils cast of a sudden round feet laid so free, he possibly might have envisaged, scarce recoiled from even were the issue death, even her death whose life was death and worse. Always provided that the charge of crime, each jot and tittle of the charge were true. In such a sense, belike, he might advise his brother to expurgate crime with blood, if blood must follow on the course taken as might beseem a cavalier. Whereupon process ended, and report was made without a minute of delay to Clement, who, because of those two crimes the Massimi and Cenci flagrant late, must needs impatiently desire result. Result obtained, he bade the governor summon the congregation and dispatch. Summons made, sentence passed accordingly, death by beheading. When his death decree was intimated to Onofrio, all man could do that did he to save himself. 'Twas much, the having gained for his defense the advocate the poor, with natural help of many noble friendly persons fain to disengage a man of family, so young too, from his grim entanglement, but Cardinal Aldobrandini ruled there must be no diversion of the law. Justice is justice, and the magistrate bears not the sword in vain. Who sins must die. So, the Marchese had his head cut off, with Rome to see, a concourse infinite, in place St. Angelo beside the bridge, where, demonstrating magnanimity adequate to his birth and breed, poor boy, he made the people the accustomed speech, exhorted them to true faith, honest works, and special good behavior as regards a parent of no matter what the sex, bidding each son take warning from himself. Truly, it was considered in the boy stark staring lunacy, no less, to snap so plain a bait, be hooked and hold ashore by such an angler as the cardinal. Why make confession of his privity to Paolo's enterprise? Mere sealing lips, or, better, saying when I counseled him to do as might beseem a cavalier, what could I mean but hide our parent's shame as Christian ought, by aid of Holy Church. Bury it in a convent, beneath enough donation to prevent its ghost from troubling earth. Mere saying thus, 'tis plain, not only were his life the recompense, but he had manifestly proved himself true Christian, and in lieu of punishment got praise of all men. So the populace. Anyhow, when the Pope made promise good that of Aldobrandini, near and dear, and gave Taverna, who had toiled so much, a cardinal's equipment, some such word as from mouth to ear went saucily, Taverna's capas died in what he drew from Santa Croce's veins. So joked the world. I add, Onofrio left one child behind, a daughter named Valeria, dowered with grace abundantly of soul and body, doomed to life the shorter for her father's fate. By death of her, the Marquisate returned to that Orsini house from whence it came, Oriolo having passed his donative to Santa Croce from their ancestors. And no word more? By all means. Would you know the authoritative answer, when folk urged what made old Obrandini, hound like staunch, hunt out of life a harmless simpleton? The answer was hatred implacable, by reason they were rivals in their love. The Cardinal's desire was to a dame whose favor was Onofrio's. Pricked with pride, the simpleton must ostentatiously display a ring, the Cardinal's love gift, given to Onofrio as the lady's gage. Which ring on finger, as he put forth hand to draw a tapestry, the Cardinal saw and knew, gift and owner, old and young. Whereon a fury entered him, the fire he quenched with what could quench fire only blood. Nay, more, there want not to affirm to boot, the unwise boy, a certain festive, feigned ignorance of who the white might be that pressed too closely on him with a crowd. He struck the Cardinal a blow, and then, to put a face upon the incident, dared next day, smug as ever, go pay court I the Cardinal's antechamber. Mark and mend, ye youth, by this example how may greed vainglorious operate in worldly souls. So ends the chronicler, beginning with God's justice, tardy though it prove perchance, rests never till it reach delinquency. Or how otherwise had come to pass that Victor rules, this present year, in Rome.